Oasis Audio presents Breathing Eden by Jennifer J. Camp.
A note from the publisher. Dear Sisters, when Brenda and I first heard Jennifer read from an early draft of Breathing Eden, we were sitting around our dinner table. From the first words, we knew we were hearing something special. Long after the guests had left that evening, we found ourselves talking about how powerful we felt the book would be for women who longed to hear God's perspective on the joys and struggles of their lives. We all need that. We all need to hear His voice. We all need light, fresh air, and new things. So it's our great pleasure to offer this book to each of you, along with a prayer that God reveals His heart for you. For you. May you see your life as He does, and may that be a breath of Eden. Blessings to you, Don and Brenda Jacobson.
Arise in the night. Pour out your heart like water before the presence of the Lord. Lamentations chapter 2, verse 19. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. Romans chapter 8, verse 22. For the Lord comforts Zion. He comforts all her waste places and makes her wilderness like Eden, her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness will be found in her, thanksgiving and the voice of song. Isaiah chapter 51, verse 3.
A note from the author. This book began with an experiment. It began when a few questions arose during hours of conversation with friends, and as many hundreds of emails went back and forth with readers of the Popular Loop devotional, in which I wrote down what I sensed were God's whispers to His daughters, His girls. Your stories, your questions, our discussions prompted me to wonder, how are we changed when our hearts are open to hearing the voice of God? How can our conversations with Him affect how we view ourselves, our lives, our paths? How do our voices connect with the voice who made us? And how can we hear God's voice, His truth, in the regular, ordinary moments of our lives? What might God say to the woman whose marriage is ending, or to the woman who has lost a child? How might God respond to the woman who is mad at Him and wonders why He didn't rescue her when she was raped? What might He say to the woman overwhelmed with depression, or the woman struggling with her identity, or the woman who believes she needs to starve herself in order to get control of her life? Not all will connect with every story, and that's okay. It's God's voice we're listening for together. The words of Breathing Eden are inspired by your stories. Not all the stories were communicated to me through conversations with you. Some were. But some were what I heard whispered to my heart. I pray you find yourself in these words, but mostly I pray the whispers back to you, from God, as you write and speak out your own story, are the treasure.
Foreword by Stacy, Eldridge. So many of us find ourselves feeling lost in our own lives. It's so easy to lose perspective, to lose our way, to lose Jesus, to lose sight of Him, and thus to lose sight of ourselves. We live in a demanding world that continually requires more and more from us. We get overwhelmed when we try to navigate our way through it on our own. But here's the brilliant news. We are not on our own. Every moment of our lives, every detail of our days are seen and known by the One who has won everything. God desires that we might come and draw more deeply into His heart. He whispers to us to come and know Him as we are known. God does not wait to embrace us until we feel worthy of being embraced. He is captured by us now, in our imperfections, in our longings, in our glories, in our desperation, in our failings. The love of Jesus is not far away. It is close. He is close. And He desires for us to know Him intimately, so that as we do, we come to face our days not with fear or a sense of being overwhelmed, but with strength and hope. We can live lives of value and love. We can live lives that are free from shame and are not bound by self-reproach or the accusations of the enemy and his lies. The world needs you. Your world needs you. The people in your life whom you are called to love, serve, and walk alongside need you. But none of us can rise to the need or to the occasion of our lives without Jesus. And Jesus is here. He is Emmanuel, God with us. God is with us right now. He is our breath, our light, our hope, and our strength. There is beauty and goodness in having knowledge about God. But knowledge alone will not see us through. We need to truly know God, to know that He is our champion. We need to grow in our ability to recognize His light, His breath, His call, His wooing, and His presence in our every moment. We need intimacy with God. My friend Jennifer Camp is a woman who has an intimacy with Jesus that breathes life and light into her life. She is compelled by the love of God to invite other women into the deepest reality of this truth, that intimacy with Jesus is available to each one of us, and that truly knowing and experiencing His love changes everything. So, dear ones, let light in. Let this tender and powerful book breathe life into you. Through the stories of these beautiful women, you will recognize your own story. You will be encouraged in your journey towards a deeper understanding of God's loving presence. He invites you to let that love inhabit your every moment. The words written here are designed to draw your heart more deeply into God's and to open your eyes to see yourself through His. You will be drawn into an intimacy with Jesus that is based solely upon His deep understanding and unconditional love for you. Oh, how we all need that. Oh, how I need that. Jesus wants to share life with you. He wants you to embrace your story, and in doing so, come to know that God loves you intimately today as you are. He sees you. He has not turned His face away. He wants to share your every moment. Come and accept Jennifer's invitation to breathe Eden. Stacy Eldridge.
Introduction. The desire to see. Jennifer. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought. But the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. Romans 8:26. I can't bear it. That's what I tell God as my friend's words tumble out one after another. Her face is in her hands. She's perched on the edge of the chair, shoulders trembling, sobbing. No, my heart can't bear this. She definitely doesn't think she can. I've been there. I know her desperation. I know weary, overwhelmed. I know what it's like being convinced that hope is not for me. I am on my knees near her now, part of a circle, other sisters gathered around. Our hearts ache as we begin to pray. No, don't remain here, dear one. You don't have to stay here. There's so much more than this moment, more above it, more below it, so much more beyond it. Our dear friend is in the place where walls press in and the air lies thick and night feels all around. There is nowhere to go, not when you've gotten to this place. Only shadows, no light, all around. She wants God but isn't sure how to reach him. Are you here, God? Do you hear me? See me? Can you come? She is confused. She wonders where God is, and we all wonder with her. All around, yes, I know this place. We gather close, these sisters and I, helping her forward toward a different place, toward a new life, toward the light that must be beyond here. It's all about perspective, after all. God's perspective. She isn't trapped no matter what she thinks now. I know the truth. I've escaped this place. I know now there is more to life than what we easily see. What does it take to step into light when what surrounds us feels only dark? The sorrow feels too deep. The mistake seems too big. The wounds lie too buried. Oh God, where is healing? Where is hope? It is difficult to believe there is more than guilt, fear, worry, pain. Pain can make us blind to or desperate for truth. Which is it going to be for her, for us? Come on, girl, come on. She sits there. We've held each other, shared 100 cups of coffee, trusted each other with our stories. She is my sister, and she feels lost in this darkness. And because I love her, I feel stuck here too. I want to carry her pain, to relieve it somehow. How do we get to you, God? How do we stand and believe light can shine here, right here? I wonder, how does God see this? How does he see us? How does he see our stories, our pain, our struggles? How does he see the infidelity, the eating disorder, the abuse, the everyday anxiety that makes it difficult for us to lift our heads? How does he see our celebration, our worship, our experiences of freedom, hope, joy? How would seeing God's view of our stories spur healing? Would it grant hope? No matter our circumstances, we need God's perspective on them. We need to know how he sees us. Come on, girl, he says. Let my light shine in. I am desperate for his eyes. I am desperate to see this pain and beauty with new eyes. I am desperate to believe there is more than what my human frailty can see. Do you want this too? Prayer takes a listening, a looking deeper. Real prayer uncovers hope that is impossible to see on our own. God knows the wide-ranging emotions we feel, the cries of pain when we are overwhelmed and alone, the songs of joy when we are captured by his goodness and majesty. But what happens when he unearths the silent prayers we didn't know we had, of sadness or worship, confession, freedom? How do our prayers sound to him? How does he see us, really see us, when we share our hearts with him? How does he respond? And how might this change us? I need to know. This book consists of our prayers to God and his answers. 40 women, 40 prayers, 40 women's conversations with God. But that's not all. Following each story is a personal invitation for you to enter into the dialogue with your own story. 40 invitations for your response. At the end of each conversation, you are invited to listen, to consider how you relate personally to what has been shared. You are invited to think, to wrestle with questions individually or in a group. You are invited to trust, to do something as a means of exploring what God might be communicating to you. And finally, you are invited to pray, to ask God to help you continue to process what He is doing in your heart. My prayer is that in entering into these conversations through prayerful response, you'll recognize how light shines in your own life, even if you can see it only dimly. 1 Corinthians 13:12. Come listen to women who plead for God to be near. Come listen to women rejecting complacency. Come listen to women choosing to seek God's freedom rather than fear in their everyday lives. Come listen to women who just want to speak to God and have Him speak back. Come listen to women who just want to praise God and be heard. Father, can I hear you? Will you heal me? How do you see things? Where were you in the night when the darkness came and I felt abandoned and alone? You've come so many times. Will you come again? You are in these moments. Your mothers and sisters and daughters and neighbors and girlfriends are too. Your prayers are collected here and heard. Will you listen for God's response? Do you want truth? Do you want light, fresh air, and new things? Keep listening.